Hi, you must be wondering what I am doing here. So yeah, this is your friend and enemy if you think so, Maya. And I'm looking at this amazing Chettinad style entrance which is placed on the wall. Amazingly designed. You can look at the intricacies. But I'm also here to interview or to understand from two seasoned architects, Raghavendra and Sheetal, about their amazing design from Space Poetics to check what they feel about design. And as you know, Paradise Stile Studio is one of the best tiles design company in India. We are trying to understand what it takes to design good homes, offices, and tiles really play an important role. Yes, of course, I have my own biases because Paradise Stile Studio deals with the best tiles. We work with best tiles, but you would also want to know from the ground that is it still possible that tiles play an important role? And for that, we are interviewing two seasoned architects, and that will give you an insight on how it helps. And we will continue this journey with more seasoned designers as the episodes grow. So, looking forward to it, and I hope you like it. And if you have any feedback or comments, you can let us know on our social media comments or you can DM us. So, stay tuned. Thank you, Raghavendra sir, Sheetal ma'am, for giving us an opportunity to
Most welcome.
work with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to this another series of Design with Paradise, where we actually try to understand how tiles fit in the overall scheme of design and what architects think about it. Right. And so before we start, just want to understand the name is amazing, your office is amazing. I would not
Thank
call it an office, it's more like a sanctuary.
Thank
Very
you.
green and typically not very interior kind because it's more natural,
Right.
lesser woods
Yes.
and greenery around. So would like to know what space poetics actually means because you have a space and you have poem.
Yeah.
This is what I am
Yeah.
assuming from these two words. So can you
Right.
tell
Yeah.
us more about
Many
that?
people do non-architects generally won't be able to understand, or people from the fraternity. Apart from that, they generally get confused. But we had a very lot discussion, and a lot of hearts have gone into this name, selecting this name, Space Poetics. So whenever we talk about designing space, I mean, as part of our philosophy, we've always been keeping it very natural and keeping it more than utility. More than utility, there's a lot of emotions with the space. Every space, there's a lot of emotions, and there's a big unseen layer. Like you cannot feel it. That kind of layer comes with every kind of space. The moment you kind of move around that space or be in that space, maybe that can be in terms of the sensory, a lot of sensories like visual, the memory, kind of memory that etches in your brain the moment you're in that space, and the kind of smell or the aura, the kind of memory that kind of retains in your heart or brain the moment you're in that space. There's some amount of poetry in that, actually. Like architects, being architects, not just our duty to just cater the functional way or maybe in terms of technical way, but to create a kind of story in their hearts. No, like poetry is one such way wherein you can only experience it. You cannot feel it. Even in terms of storytelling, maybe someone can create a play or an act and feel it. But poetry is something which you just have to experience it. So that poetry combined with architecture and interiors or any kind of spaces, basically, be it interior or exterior, or any kind of public spaces where any human interaction is there. So that kind of poetry we wanted to bring about in every kind of space that we want to do. That's wherein Space Poetics came about.
So if I'm not wrong, it actually you want to trigger the emotional response, positive emotional response
Yes.
with design because
Yes.
design itself it's intangible. You cannot touch it,
Right.
but you
right.
convert it into buildings the way you design, and that's why that emotions are triggered, positive emotions to make
Right.
people feel
Right.
better.
That's wherein we designed this our office as well, to keeping it very very minimal and opulent. I mean, I can't say opulent in terms of elegance. So a rich. Whenever we say about richness, it's only about the kind of good feeling that comes to someone who just enters into that space. That kind of opulence we want to do. So that's what is Space Poetics all about.
So how do you ensure that a design rhymes with contemporary trends, because there are so many things going around, so many materials? How do you ensure that whatever you are doing doesn't become a cliche, because we see same kind of buildings coming up, same kind of designs duplicated again and again and again. But looking at your office, I for the first time I felt that this is something different from normal offices. So how does it go into actual building where you are working with clients? Because every client has a different design. They have a different perception of how they would want their homes or offices. So how do you ensure that part?
It's actually very easy, like keeping it real and raw makes half your job is easy, like one thing is people centric. I mean, every client is different. Every human being is different. Their lifestyle, their families, their surroundings, their aspirations, their upbringing. So just understanding that, and the site itself will answer more than half of the things, whatever is needed. And then keeping it real, like everyone today, everyone in every aspect want to be the best of the best. Like be it a very small thing also, they just want the best of the best, and people are just trying and to impress someone. So if we kind of just step back from that and just be real of what we want to do and what we want to experience at the end of the day, and other than thinking about the trends or things like that. So if we are just true to the clients and our hearts and the kind of site whatever it is situated in, and that would solve half of the problem. And the rest, if we are keeping it real, and innovation is something which adds for every generation. So along with all of these things, some kind of innovation to everything, which is totally customized to that kind of setting. I think it will add the whole charm to that whole space actually.
Wow, awesome, sir. And so coming to next part of it, as we know that floors, walls, these all are the foundations of designing any home or buildings, right? Typically when you are designing it from scratch. So how do you see tiles or stones become as a specific material become part of what you design? How central they are, or are they still relevant?
Yeah, I think you can answer this.
Yeah, I think you have to always consider both as an architect and also as a normal person. Like, a layman who doesn't know what architecture is actually, these materials, like it may be the tiles which is used for flooring or cladding or be it anything, it's not just a material. It is where it's like it's going to usually, it is going to give you the feel, every time a person walks on a floor, it's always a different feeling, so it is not just it should not just be considered as a material, but something, something very special. And that's how this material should be considered as a central object for, a space. It in fact, it in fact changes the entire space as a whole. And if you consider in the recent days, this entire paradigm shift you can see in terms of material, and tile is playing a really central role, in fact.
So do you think that tile can go from, what I feel currently is that means people consider tiles or stones as something which becomes a side object rather than the main hero of the movie. This is what I feel. I might be wrong. You can answer it better. So can tile become a central figure, a central theme over which things can be designed? Have you done some project where tile was the one that decided overall design? It changed it completely. Is it possible? Or have you worked on something?
Definitely possible, because as I told you, it's like, when you walk inside a space, you actually feel the space. So when you walk, you're in contact with the surface. Okay. And when you even, you also feel the walls and things like that. So obviously it's going to play a central role.
So flooring is a very big canvas which kind of creates both kind of sensory appeal actually. One is visual, of course, and one more is sensory, because you're in contact with every step that moves, be it an animal in the space or human beings or pets or anything for that matter. Every step matters. You kind of experience that texture or color or kind of the whole appeal of the whole flooring, and that's going to create a very big impression. And it should be, I think, maybe certain people may not make it big use of it, but it's a very very big opportunity to bringing that kind of sensory or that kind of memory, long lasting memory of that space. And flooring is one amazing thing which can change the overall impact of the entire space actually. And be it dusty or be it clean, it is going to have some kind of impression in the user's mind and heart actually. But yeah, like like you said about using tiles as one central part. So yeah, we have tried few spaces, be it normal bedrooms or in the living or even in the washrooms as well for that matter. So we have customized it to so much level that it has changed the entire aura of that space. And
in fact, our own office.
Yeah.
People who visit our office are like, they have a different, the way they look at our office is completely different. Our office feels raw and natural, and they have that temple feel. And that's how, the entire space has been looked something different from any other architectural office. It's not like there is a lot of materials which are used here, but very minimal material, but the tiles which are used here or the flooring which is used here is completely different when compared to any other space. So which gives you a complete different touch and, the feel. And yeah, so we can in fact take our own office as an example for this.
I can vouch for that, because the tiles what has been used here is something which we have in my hometown, that's Udaipur. It's a small city, and as soon as I entered this space, I felt like this looks like my home. These are long tiles. And it's very cold.
Yeah.
It gives you that feeling, and with that I understand one thing, that earthing is a very important part of natural living. Right, and our context right now, we cannot walk barefoot outside on grasses and all. So the only barefoot experience you will be getting is in your homes or in your offices. Mostly not even in offices. In architect's office, of course we can, but general corporate office it's not possible. But in homes we'll get that earthing is an important part. So I think there also Raghavendra sir's point of saying that invoking that, triggering that emotional response and familiarity, it plays a very important role. That's awesome. But how do you decide on the texture and feel of a tile? Means do you specifically think about it? Okay, we have to use tiles in some part of the home, or is it mandatory? Is it necessary, or it should become part or element of anyone's home or offices to some extent? What could be the one reason for that?
One thing is about the customization, and the kind of availability in terms of colors and textures, that are endless possibility in the tiles. So when we talk about today's availability of the tiles, most of them are very generic and very, very, very kind of uniform kind of thing. But finding the right thing and customizing it as per our requirement is a little challenging work to do as of today, because nobody would generated something as per our architect's vision or our kind of requirement that we have. And for each spaces, it definitely changes. Not that it should be generic to the entire space of any one particular thing. Based on the function of that space, based on the surrounding of that space, so the flooring canvas can definitely, bring about a lot more value addition.
And we should definitely, take into consideration what the client wants. So the ideas of the client and the idea of ours have to merge together, and that have to create a beautiful pattern. So in fact, it have to, it should command to that particular space. It should not go out of the space, and you should not feel there's too much things in one particular space. So, the customization and availability, all that is really important.
That's awesome, sir. And do you think, what do you think about Paradise? Are we able to help you out with that journey of yours? Because we also understand the industry is very wide, so many options and materials available. How do we fit in or
I recently had started buying from Tile Paradise actually. Before that, I had come across many places that many of my friends in the same fraternity have been using thing from the same Tile Paradise. But when I recently went there for one of my projects, I was mind blown actually with the kind of, I had some requirement in my head that I want something of this stature and something of this kind of customization. But when I went there, I got much more than what I wanted actually. So whatever was in my mind, and I got something much more beyond that with the kind of collections they have and the kind of customization that they are willing to do, and that was a big turnaround for me actually. So we've been using them tiles from Tile Paradise from past 2-3 projects, and the overall appeal and kind of customer service that they are ready to offer to the end client is something which is very much needed, and we appreciate that. And it was very helpful because the clients are also happy at the end of the day, because at the end of the day it's not just our happiness, even they should be happy with the kind of service, post sales service that has been happening from them. And very much appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And now coming to last part of it, second last part of it. So how means people have various notions about maintenance of tiles and stones and all. What do you recommend? What is the best way, that generic advice, because every tile is different, but still, what is the generic advice how to maintain tiles? Because as you said, maintenance is an important part. So there is 2 parts of it. One, specific maintenance of the tiles that need to be done if it is varnished, and there could be many things. And some could be generic, that this you have to do it so that client can maintain it by themselves. So what do you suggest for that?
It depends on the kind of product that we are choosing actually, and everything needs maintenance. If without maintenance, we can't blame anyone that this product is not right and things like that. So depends on what kind of the tile or the material it is manufactured out of, and there are certain natural based, certain artificial based, and certain both combination of both things are there. So I think it's better they follow the experts advice, that is someone where they are purchasing it from. So a lot of harsh chemicals is something which has to be avoided to keep the raw and keep the natural look of any product actually. So, and regular maintenance is very much needed, and if there is any kind of minimum wear and tear also, it's better to address them right in the beginning stages rather than prolonging it and then the effect is there further around. And maintenance, that is something which is very much needed and needs to be done throughout the time actually.
Okay. Now a quick question: if you were a client and you would want to go with only one kind of tiles, what kind of tiles you would go with? Athanagudi or Moroccan?
Sorry?
Athanagudi tiles or Moroccan tiles? What will be your preferred choice?
Okay. I would rather take both because both are beautiful. I can't,
okay, I have a third option: Thanjavur tiles.
I think it depends on the space. What space we are.
Okay, you can suggest for spaces. If in a home you want to fit in all these 3 tiles, where would you fit in?
Okay, maybe Atangudi would be something very cool and very warm in terms of spaces where it is very earthy and very homely, raw and things like that. Moroccan would be ideal for spaces which needs much more vibrancy or much more energy. And Atangudi is something which will calm you down, kind of thing. Yeah, and Moroccan is something for maybe some active spaces or where the energy needs to be very high, something such kind of spaces. Moroccan would be much better. And Tanjore is also good for transitional spaces and something where you want something much more subtler and things like that. And it should be a balance of all kind of textures, colors and things like that. Somewhere you need energy to be high. At certain places, the energy has to calm down. You have to calm down. So that kind of senses has to be brought about in users, which can definitely bring about through the tile canvas.
Okay. Now I have a conflict zone in kitchen at the dado area. Do you suggest tiles or lacquered glass or countertop material such as granite or your quartz? What do you suggest for that part?
I think we would go with tiles because it's easier to maintain, and one more, we have endless color
Colors,
options
text,
that are
yeah.
available, and it is resistant to heat and stains, which Indian kitchens are prone to.
Because we have active cooking, so we cook daily, so that's why,
Because Indian kitchens are very prone to such stains and heat and rugged things that happens in and around. Unlike European kitchens, which is just not as vibrant
Intense.
and
Intense
intense like
kitchen.
Indian cooking.
No,
Actually.
you can be direct. So they have frozen food most of the time. So
No, and one more thing, as I told you, there's a huge paradigm shift which is happening. People used to, before, maybe like 20 years back, 10 years back, it was always granite and marbles, which people used to prefer and say, yeah, we want this. And it was also a symbol, or yeah, I can call it as a symbol of luxury. But now I think it's completely changing because there's a lot of colors and textures, and even it is cost effective and compared to many of the other things. So I think, along with that, this can act as like something completely different, and I think it can be customized according to the architects and the client's idea and things. That's what I feel.
awesome. Thank you so much for giving so much insights into overall design philosophy of yours. Now, coming to the final question, I would want to understand what final piece of advice you would have for new designers and architects in terms of design philosophy and selecting materials, because design is one part and bringing it on ground, what you see and what you get, that complete transition, is another part. So what suggestion you would have for them? Means from first principles that you should take care of this particular thing whenever you are designing home for a client of yours.
I would rather say, explore every damn possible corner of before you're cornering down to your design philosophies, or taking forward your legacy or your standard, your template kind of thing. Explore every possible arena before cornering down to something of your identity, rather. It's better to explore and then corner down, because the more and more you explore, you have endless layers in every space actually. You maybe something which looks fancy from outside, through the whole process and post the process, it might not be the right fit to your heart. So, and something which looks very plain and very flat on the outside, but it will definitely involve lot more complications when throughout the whole process. So it's better to explore everything rather than jumping and cornering and fixing on to one identity at the very beginning itself, because photographs just say the one kind of angle of that, but there are million more.
It's tip of the iceberg, so there is everything
But
else.
Basically, the journey is not as easy or fancy as the name tells. Architect, architect. It's a very fashionable word, but the journey is very difficult. So it's always good to explore what you want, because every architect has a style. People recognize an architect based upon the style. So it's always good to explore what your style is. You have to have a lot of knowledge with respect to materials, and you should also have the ability to, talk with the client, convince the client. All these have to come together, and then only I think you have to, stable on your space. Before that, I think there's a lot of explorations you have to do.
Okay. Now, final question. From what is, so as your firm's name is Space Poetics, what is one poetic principle you would suggest that is instrumental for your growth, and you feel that this actually helped you better yourselves and the spaces you design, because you are into core creative field, right, where you have to do so much of creation. It's not like you have to sit on a system and you can just do it in AutoCAD and you do it. AutoCAD is maybe the final step. 90% happens in your brain. Then you need to, all the 10% includes the calculations and all the boring work, which actually takes 90% of your time.
Right.
Most of the time. So what is that poetic principle you follow, that okay, this I need to follow throughout my journey? Of course, it can be malleable, it changes with time and things changes, but one thing which is central to the existence of Space Poetics, because
so like I said earlier, our name Space Poetics, how it was derived and things like that. There's some invisible layer in terms of spaces, it is sensory, it is auditory, it is emotionally. That in every project, everyone is running around or running behind meeting the targets of functional requirements. But adding on to this one layer of human touch is something that is extremely important. For example, when I say whenever we are designing a house or something, so these are the talks from our clients who we have finished our projects with. So post like a year or two when we meet them, so we just talk about and have a discussion. So that's where these things come from them actually. So they like the light which passes throughout their house throughout the day and throughout the year. It is extremely dynamic. So that is one kind of invisible layer which adds on maybe through skylights or through windows or fenestrations of different varieties. And the kind of sensory, like kitchen is one very simple thing, but it has got millions of functions, not just about the food, but about the conversations which happen right from the kitchen to the living or kitchen to the dining or kitchen to the external space, whichever is happening outside, and the kind of sensory, the whole interaction which happens right there, and maybe in terms of puja or any kind of devotional spaces which has its own charm and dignity. And so these are all the experiences or the senses. There is some invisible layer that is there in every space, but we can't experience it through drawings, but you just have to experience through the space. So that kind of poetry is what our philosophy is there. So
just to add on to this, we are taking a lot of projects. We have residence, we have commercial, we have in fact urban design and all these projects. So like her firm name, that is Space Poetics, it is basically writing a story or a poet. It is writing a poetics things like it is writing a story about each and every space, because everything what you construct is the dream of the client. Even if you want to construct a house, it is considered the client's dream. So we are bringing it into reality. Okay, so we are telling this space. So to consider our work something like unique and different from other things, we basically focus on minimalistic things. We don't go for too many materials at one space. We design according to the space. And the second one, we definitely wanted to be in harmony with everything. So I think innovation is what adds on to it. So we want our projects to be very innovative, very different from any other projects. So I think that makes our project a little different from other projects.
That's awesome and a very powerful thought to end on, Sheetal and Raghavendra sir. Thank you so much for sharing your time and vision with us. And to our audience, stay curious, and we will see you on the next episode of Design with Paradise. And also with Raghavendra sir's and Sheetal ma'am's permission, we will be shooting your space a bit just to show the audience that how wonderfully it has been designed, right?
Sure.
And it's awesome having this conversation with you, and Paradise is thankful to give us this opportunity.
Thank you for coming down and having this.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
We really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.